Well, my friend, it would appear we're under attack, not only from outside forces crossing over our borders, but from within our own society. So many things are happening in our nation at this time in our history. The 22nd news cycle is just humming right along. And the people that we have instilled the power of the fourth estate in, well, they have let us down. Now, when I speak of the fourth estate, I'm referring to the national media outlets. And for the past 6+ years, our information, our news has been tainted and slanted to the left-thinking side of, well, all political views. Everything from Russian influence hoax to the 2020 elections, and now with the Hunter Biden laptop. All of this has been a propaganda-style form of misinformation. Not on the part of the private citizen, though. No, not. We're doing the private independent research. No. It is within the ranks of the major outlets, the media outlets, that is. They're spreading disinformation and labeling it as the truth in a true fashion of a Cold War Russian propaganda machine. You know, Nancy Pelosi spoke of it as the comeback around smear, and what I call truthification. She spoke of it as if it was a Republican trick or something, which it is not. It's an old political trick, and what happens is you leak information out to the press that may not necessarily be true. And as the press reports on it, the politicians pick it up and start to quote it as if it was fact. Now, they have just made an accusation of fact, and no one is looking into it to investigate the facts. The news reporters claim their sources are sound and, they're really good sources. This was the case of the Russian collusion leak during the 2016 election, and Donald Trump, unfortunately, was the subject of that attack. Remember when he stated that someone was tapping his campaign headquarters? It was part of this Russian collusion thing. And guess what? He was correct. There seems to be a problem in our fourth estate, folks. They're just too damn lazy to investigate about what's really going on. And why is that? Well, I can only speculate that there's a lot of money and favors being thrown around, and the power brokers in Washington, D.C. are making the rounds. There is one fact, though, that no one can deny, and I hope someone up there in D.C., someone up there proves me wrong. But no one will be prosecuted for these crimes that the leadership of the FBI has now been accused of in the Durham report released last week in reference to the Russian collusion hoax. In Durham's report, he stated there was absolutely no collusion between Trump and the Russians. Mueller came up with the same conclusion. Yet there was foreign money laundered through the Clinton Foundation for political purposes. He also briefly touched on the election fraud during the 2020 election and subsequent midterm elections. Well, all I can say is, thank you, Captain Obvious. Immediately, the liberal media outlets dropped the story of the Durham report. They thought it was going to be something that it's not, because it was also naming the mainstream media as being complacent in the actions of the Russian hoax. How many times did we turn on the TV and there they were, all about Russia and Trump? He was going to get us in World War III, He was going to destroy our economy, He was going to cause gas prices to go through the roof. He didn't do any of that. That's our current administration. But digressing. All in all, there's a very small amount of time that has been spent on this report by our fourth estate. And that is a great disservice to us, the American citizen. What is the purpose of having a free press, anyways, when all they continue to produce is propaganda And of course, they accuse everybody of being a racist. According to the media, you've heard it. If you are a white person, you are a racist. They said it. This was the reason for the freedom of the press. And this is why it was listed on the number one right in the Bill of Rights. In the days of the colonials, the news was controlled by the King of England, and if you did not follow the orders of the king, you were jailed, or you were put in stocks for public ridicule. Well, you know what? Today is not too damn much different. If you dare to speak the truth, you end up in Facebook jail, or you get canceled by YouTube. And, of course, you are publicly ridiculed by the left-leaning politicians in all the levels of our government. Still, the propaganda machine is still running, as the news media daily puts out reports, and not very true ones. Here's one, that the impending doom of the nation if the federal government does not raise the debt ceiling. Impending doom. They said that all the Social Security and Veterans Benefits checks will not go out. Well, hate to break your hearts, folks. I do my research. According to the Constitution of the United States, there will be no default on or failure to pay the Social Security benefits or veterans' pensions. How? Well, according to Amendment 14, Section 4, Paragraph 1, Sentence 1, the validity of the public debt of the United States authorized by law, including debts incurred for payment of pensions and bounties for services in suppressing insurrection or rebellion, shall not be questioned. In other words, everybody that gets their Social Security check will get their Social Security check. They're governed and covered from overspending and default, despite what the news outlets are telling you. Besides, the last thing the Congress, Senate, and the White House want are a bunch of little old ladies with their purses and some old veterans like myself parading into the Capitol building and demanding our money. They also know that this is a very large voting bloc, and you know what? We vote every election. As always, I give you problems, and then I give you the solution. Here's your solution, folks. Research and recognize the different types of propaganda methods out there. There's a bunch. Here's a few. There is the lie with a smile, the misdirection. In other words, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Then there is my favorite, the truthification. And then the ever-famous, it's not my fault ploy. When you read an article, see if it answers the questions of who, what, where, when, why, and how in the first paragraph. That's journalism 101, my friends. Or within the first few moments of a news story on the television. If it does, you better double check the facts, especially if a national news broadcast company is reporting it. There was one about the shooting in Texas, and they said it was a white supremacist, and it was an illegal Mexican over the border. But they said it was a white supremacist, trying to throw racism into it. What can I tell you? So dig a little deeper in your own research. Read 3 or 4 articles about the same thing. Compare the facts, and then make your own decision. You may find that researching the news is better for you. You're more informed. And it can help you make decisions in the future just by helping you with your common sense.